In today's fast-moving business world, what's the real cost of just, well, standing still?
Yeah, it's be quiet.
We're not just talking about, losing ground. We mean actual dollars and cents that big companies might be leaving on the table.
Right.
So today we're diving deep into something called the Honey Badger framework. It's a management approach that aims to tackle exactly that.
And our focus for this deep dive is pretty specific. We're looking at a recent analysis research that really digs into the potential financial downsides, the missed opportunities, you could say.
For companies that don't adopt this Honey Badger thing.
Exactly. For those sticking with maybe older ways,
Yeah.
the insights, they come from Georgios Fridelos, PhD, out of Geneva, dated May 15th, 2025.
Okay.
And his work looks at, well, the financial hit and maybe a slowdown in innovation too.
And this isn't just some super niche technical paper, is it? It seems to touch on broader trends.
No, you're right. The research connects to some really fundamental shifts. Things like hashtag artificial intelligence, hashtag corporate management.
Hashtag digital transformation, hashtag ESG, hashtag innovation. It covers a lot of ground.
It really does. It shows how wide the ripples can be.
So give us a hook. What's a key finding?
Okay, well, to give you an idea right away,
No.
the analysis suggests major companies, big names, could be missing out on cost savings, potentially hundreds of millions of dollars.
Hundreds of millions annually.
Annually, yeah, just by not looking seriously at what this Honey Badger framework offers.
Wow. Okay, so this Honey Badger framework, what is it exactly? Give us the overview.
Think of it as a modern way to manage projects. It popped up around 2023.
Okay.
And it was really designed from the ground up to work well in this world where AI is becoming so important. It's agile, but deeply AI compatible.
Agile. Got it. And for anyone listening, agile basically means breaking big projects into smaller bits, right? More flexible than old school methods.
Exactly. Adapting as you go.
So what's Honey Badger trying to achieve then? What are its main goals?
The core aims are pretty clear. Boost efficiency, like how projects get done. Slash costs. Speed up innovation. And, this is important, make sure projects line up with ESG principles.
ESG, environmental, social governance, makes sense. So what makes it tick? What are the defining features?
There are a few key things. Strong leadership is one. It uses small, self-managing teams, think maybe 6 to 12 people.
Okay.
They work in really short cycles, like one-week sprints. And a big difference is how it uses AI assistance.
AI assistance. For what?
For knowledge tasks, research analysis, that kind of thing. It also has clear roles manager, guru for expertise, specialists. And there's a big emphasis on sharing knowledge, making sure everyone learns. Plus, like we said, ESG is baked in.
Right. So agile flexibility plus AI smarts plus that sustainability focus. You mentioned it fixes issues with older agile methods using AI.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, things like Scrum or Prince2, they're valuable, no doubt.
Yeah.
But they weren't built with today's AI in mind. They don't fully leverage AI for, say, predicting problems or making complex decisions based on data. Honey Badger tries to bridge that gap.
How so? Like an example.
Well, imagine an AI that constantly scans project data timelines, resources, and flags. Potential roadblocks maybe weeks ahead.
Ah, okay. So the team can adjust before it becomes a real issue.
Precisely. It becomes really valuable for complex projects with lots of moving parts.
Got it. That makes it clear. Okay, let's get into the money side. The potential losses if companies don't jump on board. Direct cost inefficiencies first.
Right. The basic idea is simple. Without a framework like this, project management just costs more and things get delayed more often.
And the analysis puts numbers on that.
Yes, it looks at specific big companies to show the scale of savings potentially being missed.
Okay, let's hear them. Give us some examples.
Like, take Microsoft. Huge R&D budget, right? Around $31.7 billion. Now, if you figure maybe a quarter of that goes into managing those projects, the research suggests Honey Badger's AI efficiencies could save them. Well, somewhere between $792.9 million and maybe $1.189 billion.
Per year, just on project management costs.
Per year, yeah. That's based on AI driving maybe 10-15% efficiency gains, which seems plausible based on other studies, like McKinsey's work.
That's a staggering number. Okay, what about a different field? Consulting.
Look at Deloitte. Estimated revenues, maybe $70 billion. You factor in operating costs, a chunk for managing client projects, the potential efficiency gains there. They estimate $1.12 billion to $1.68 billion.
annually.
Wow, again, huge numbers.
It's the same logic that 10-15% AI boost applied to their project management load.
And pharmaceuticals, R&D is everything there.
Right, take Pfizer. Maybe $11 billion in R&D expenses projected for 2025.
Okay.
If you apply the same thinking, the potential savings on managing those R&D projects could be between, say, $220 million and $330 million a year.
Still very significant amounts. Were there others mentioned in the research? Oh, yeah. Oracle was estimated at $225 million to about $337.5 million in savings per year.
Okay.
JP Morgan Chase in finance, maybe $300 million to $450 million. And even construction Bechtel, around $500 million. Acciona, roughly $600 million potential annual savings.
Yeah, and how did these savings actually happen? Like the AI automating scheduling you mentioned for construction.
Exactly. Things like optimizing resource allocation, predictive maintenance scheduling, minimizing downtime. AI can automate and optimize a lot of the complex planning involved.
So these figures aren't just guesses, they're grounded in something.
Definitely not guesses. They're based on, public financials, R&D spend, revenue combined with industry benchmarks and actual case studies.
Like the McKinsey report you mentioned.
Yeah, McKinsey's 2025 AI report, plus specific examples cited like Bechtel and IBM, already seeing cost reductions from using AI in project management.
Okay, that covers the direct costs, the efficiency savings. But the research also talks about decelerated innovation as another potential loss. How does that work?
Right, this is the second, maybe even bigger layer of risk. If you don't adopt these AI-driven systems, your R&D might just slow down.
Okay.
And you start losing your edge. Competitors using AI might bring new stuff to market faster, better.
And can we put numbers on that potential loss too?
Yes. The analysis tries to project that. For Microsoft, for example, it suggests maybe a 5–10% hit to their annual revenue growth over 5 years.
Because they're innovating slower.
Exactly. And that translates to potentially lost revenue of $2 billion to $4 billion a year. Revenue they could have had if they were innovating faster with AI tools.
That's potentially even bigger than the direct cost savings?
In some cases, yeah.
Yep.
Now look at Deloitte again, in consulting.
How does innovation loss hit them?
For them, it's about losing clients. Clients increasingly want AI solutions they expect their consultants to be cutting edge.
Right.
So the risk is maybe losing 5–10% of their annual revenue. On $70 billion, that's like $3.5 billion to $7 billion is potentially lost each year because they aren't seen as innovative enough.
And Pfizer. Speed to market is critical for drugs.
Absolutely. For pharma, delays in getting drugs through R&D and launched mean lost revenue. Simple as that.
Because the patent clock is ticking.
Precisely. Any delay eats into that window.
Yeah.
The estimate for Pfizer. Potential loss of maybe $1.5 billion to $3 billion annually from delayed drug launches linked to slower, non-AI enhanced R&D.
We talked about Oracle alongside Microsoft for cost savings. Is their innovation risk similar?
Yeah, it's implied in that same tech category. They face that risk of slower product development, falling behind competitors who are faster with AI.
Okay.
And JP Morgan Chase. Their potential innovation loss is estimated at $750 million to $1.5 billion, lagging in fintech. Bechtel and Acciona in construction, maybe $600 million to $1.2 billion from losing bids or projects due to less optimized AI-driven approaches.
And these innovation loss figures, are they also based on research trends?
They are. They're backed by studies showing AI can speed up R&D by like 50–35%. And agile methods generally boost innovation speed by about 25%. The paper also mentions a specific study on AI's role in future project management, reinforcing the link.
Okay, so the potential costs of not adopting look pretty serious, both in efficiency and innovation speed. But what about actually doing it, implementing Honey Badger? Is that expensive? Consulting fees.
That's a fair question, and yeah, the analysis touches on that. It estimates the likely consulting fees. It suggests they'd probably be around 1% of the potential direct cost savings, which they say aligns with general industry norms for this kind of consulting work.
Okay, so 1% of those big savings numbers we heard earlier, what does that translate to in actual dollars for those companies?
So for Bechtel, with potential savings around $375 million, the fee might be about $3.75 million a year.
Right.
Microsoft, if we take the middle of their savings range, say $675 million, the fee is around $6.75 million. Deloitte, midpoint savings, $625 million. Fee around $6.25 million.
Similarly for JP Morgan Chase.
Yeah, their savings midpoint was also $675 million, so fee around $6.75 million too. Pfizer, with their higher potential savings, midpoint $1.2 billion, the fee is estimated around $12 million annually.
So it looks like a pretty standard calculation they use.
Yeah, basically. Consulting fee equals midpoint 0.01 times potential annual cost savings. It helps put the investment in perspective against the potential return.
Right. Okay, let's step back a bit, sum this up. What's the main takeaway for these big companies?
The core message seems really clear. Ignore these AI-integrated management frameworks like Honey Badger, and you face, well, significant financial risk.
Hundreds of millions, potentially billions a year.
Exactly. And it comes from two places: missing out on direct cost savings in just running projects, and, maybe more critically, slowing down your innovation engine, which means lost market opportunities.
So it's not just tweaking operations, it's about staying competitive long term.
That's it. In a world increasingly driven by AI, adopting this stuff isn't just about saving a buck today. It's about keeping your edge, staying a leader, ensuring you actually grow in the future.
And it's interesting they included the cost side, the consulting fees. It makes it feel more balanced.
Right, it's not just a scare tactic. It acknowledges there's an investment, a transition.
It shows the potential ROI,
Yeah,
essentially.
exactly. Companies need to weigh that investment against the potential very large downsides of inaction. They obviously need to do their own homework, but the analysis presents a compelling case.
Okay, so to wrap up this deep dive, what's the final thought you want to leave listeners with?
I think the analysis really hammers home that for major players in tech, consulting, finance, construction, pharma, ignoring AI in how you manage things, like with Honey Badger, could be a very expensive mistake. It hits your efficiency now and your ability to innovate for tomorrow.
Yeah, and thinking about those potential losses, it makes you wonder, doesn't it? What fundamental changes in strategy and tech adoption are really going to be needed for companies to not just, get by, but actually thrive in this new AI-driven project world? Feels like there's a lot more thinking to do there.